Hello, everybody, and welcome to another installment of Shauna's Spilling the Presley Tea. And as promised, I'm going to do a little bit of a book breakdown. So we're all, as you are aware of, we are all going over this book. Bad thing is, so far, it's boring, it's regurgitating old crap, and she's adding on stuff that probably never even happened, okay? There's just embellishment in this book. So that's what we're going to go over tonight. We're going to go over all the books and give you a comparison. So here is the topic at hand, and I'm going to change that so I can read. So I'll have a topic and what book said what. And the books that we're going over are Priscilla's Elvis and Me from 1985, Priscilla's new book, Softly as I Leave You, Lisa's book, From Here to the Great Unknown, and other sources for context. Okay, this is going to be a really cool breakdown here. All right, so the topic is the start of the relationship. Okay, now in Priscilla's Elvis and Me book, she claims it was platonic, innocent. Elvis treated her like a sister and no sex before marriage. And this is some of the stuff she did mention. Now, with Priscilla's new book, Softly as I Leave You, she frames the relationship as more romantic by age 17. But if you go to Lisa's book, From Here to the Great Unknown, she says that her mother, Priscilla, worried about pregnancy weight, wanted to abort her, which is crazy. And she claims that Elvis and Priscilla had sex by the time Priscilla was 18 years old, if you remember correctly. In Lisa's book, she claims her mother lost her virginity at 18, and it wasn't the fairy tale on her wedding night crap she's been shoving down our throats all these decades. Now, the other sources is from like Nash or Golinik, and they highlight grooming, whatever. This is why we don't look at these sources. We don't talk about grooming because Elvis wasn't grooming Priscilla. I believe Priscilla was grooming Elvis. If you remember correctly, in the book Elvis and Me, and in her first movie Elvis and Me, it was Priscilla's idea to come up and play with role-playing games where they took photos of role-playing and stuff because they couldn't have sex. Yeah, so it was Priscilla's idea. It was not Elvis's. So who was grooming who? All right. Now, the next topic would be Elvis's sexual interests. All right. Now, in Priscilla's book, Elvis and Me in 1985, she describes waiting until marriage, which is very noble, by the way. But when you have Priscilla in Softly as I Leave You, her new book now, she claims Elvis lost interest after Lisa's birth and couldn't make love to a woman who gave birth to a child. We all know that that is not true. And this claim was made by Priscilla because how was she going to explain to all of us that they had no sexual interest after Elvis found out that she cheated with her dance instructor 6 weeks after giving birth to Lisa? Do we know Elvis did not like to share? He did not like to share. So if he found out you were stepping on him, he would be moved on with somebody else. Now, also I want to say, when you have her saying that Elvis had no interest in her after Lisa's birth, that he couldn't make love to a woman who had given birth, what about her claims in Elvis and Me that he AR'd her against her will when she said that she was leaving him when he was in Vegas? And we've been over this. She claims in her book, Elvis and Me, that he forcefully took her. Okay? She said in the movie with the script that it was AR'd her. Yet, somewhere around the early 90s, she started changing that narrative to be like, oh, it never happened. Okay, but you wrote it in your book. Now, Lisa's book, From Here to the Great Unknown, it describes her mother as glamorous but cold about children. Cold about children. Now, the other sources for context would be the Memphis Mafia stories, which confirm intimacy issues post childbirth. But of course, they didn't mention that Priscilla was already cheating on Elvis by the time that Lisa Marie was 6 weeks old. So by the time she had given birth and had her body healed, instead of waiting on her husband, she cheated on him with her dance instructor. So we have that. The next topic would be infidelity and jealousy. Now, in Priscilla, Elvis, and Me, her book from 1985, she says that she was in constant worry. She also smashed a vase over Anne Margaret rumors. So she was always worried about if Elvis was going to leave her for some Hollywood starlet. And she wrote this in Elvis and Me. Now, in Priscilla, Softly as I Leave You, her new book, it states with this topic, she finds letters from women and she has an affair with Mike Stone. So these letters from the women helped her do her homework onto getting Elvis. We all know when Elvis was in Germany, he was dating and had about 3-year already relationship with Anita Wood. And that Priscilla was secretly reading Anita Wood's letters to Elvis, and she was secretly reading Elvis's letters to Anita Wood. So she was getting an idea and finding out things so she can use it for her benefit. So she was doing her homework, and she admits this in Elvis and Me. Now, Lisa states From Here to the Great Unknown, she describes Priscilla as absent with men, left with staff. So Lisa was left with staff a lot, and Priscilla was always with men. Now, the other sources on this says that insiders confirm Elvis's affairs and Priscilla's jealousy. So we all knew that. But Priscilla also had affairs, guys. She also had affairs. The next topic is drug use. Okay? In Priscilla, Elvis and Me, her first book, for the topic of drug use, it states pills framed as normal. Elvis studied medicine and gave her pills. Okay? In Priscilla, Softly as I Leave You from 2025, she claims that addiction earlier, deeper, started with Gladys's pill use. So she doesn't just throw Elvis or Lisa under the bus with pills. She also throws Elvis's beloved mother, Gladys, under the bus as well. If that doesn't make you sick, I don't know what will, folks, but you blame a dead woman for Elvis's drug use. I mean, it's just pretty bad. Now you have Lisa in her book, From Here to the Great Unknown, how she mentions drug use. She says that there were links to Elvis's temper and paranoia brought from drug use. Okay. So this is where Lisa states that he was paranoid. Okay. And he was paranoid because of drug use. Now, Nick Nash states the toxicology confirms prescription excess in his body, but it took so much to get him down. It took so much. I mean, after you take something for so long, you have to up the dose in order to have it to work the same way it worked before for less pills. So he took more, but they had less effect on him because he took so much. And they never mention that in any of the other books or anything, you know? They just mention, oh, he took an excess amount. Well, it probably took an excess amount to get him to fall asleep because he took them for so many years. And you have to keep upping the dose to have the feeling that it used to give you when you first started taking the medication. And I'm going to call it medication. I'm not going to call it drugs because it was not street drugs that Elvis was doing. It was prescribed medication from his doctors. Now, the next topic is parenting. Okay? Now, Priscilla Presley writes in Elvis and Me that this topic of parenting was not a major focus. Okay? And Elvis had indulgence and she was more structured. So you know how she tried to spin it, guys? I was the responsible parent and I was the disciplinarian and Elvis was the irresponsible parent who let Lisa do whatever she wanted to do. Okay, well, Lisa has a thing or two to say about this, right, guys? But let's get to what she says in the book that just came out, Softly as I Leave You, and see if it contradicts what she said before. Priscilla admits in her new book, she admits to strictness. She played good cop, bad cop, and Scientology framed and helped her do her role as a parent. You mean when you dropped your daughter off because you couldn't deal with her and you would just go to her handlers in Scientology and went, here, you deal with her. That kind of parenting through Scientology, is that what she's talking about, guys? Now, Lisa says in her book, From Here to the Great Unknown, that the parenting in her life, that Priscilla was a very cold, absent mother. She was trophy obsessed, and Scientology helped her with her control. So that seems pretty, you know, pretty close to what I think might have been the more of the truth to the story, unlike what Priscilla would admit. Now, the other sources says that Riley recalls a fractured bond, and ex-Scientologists confirm that there was a fractured bond between Lisa and Priscilla, and Scientology didn't even help that fractured bond. The next topic is Michael Edwards. In the book Priscilla, Elvis and Me from 1985, Michael Edwards isn't covered in her book, probably because she was still sleeping with Michael Edwards and was still with Michael Edwards when she was writing the book Elvis and Me. And the book isn't called Michael Edwards, Elvis and Me, right? It was just called Priscilla Presley, Elvis and Me. So it wasn't covered. But in the new book, Softly as I Leave You, it is covered. She admits relationship with Edwards and claims she learned of the abuse in the book that she read from Lisa, and that it wasn't like what is stated. I mean, she completely just goes, oh, he might have lifted her covers up innocently, but that was all. He didn't touch her. You know, she's basically downplaying it. She's gaslighting it like, oh, disregard what Lisa said about Michael Edwards. Okay? Now, in Lisa's book, From Here to the Great Unknown, she accuses Edwards of long-term abuse, bruises, spanking, touching her sexually, talking about touching her sexually. Even the next of the sources, for context, Edwards himself in his own book admits to obsession. And he really does. He admits to it in his own book, guys. So, I mean, when are you ever going to get the person you're accusing of SA to actually write a book of the SA that he's being accused of? So Lisa got it really good because he admits to this. The next topic is the chair being thrown records incident. Now, according to Priscilla and Elvis and Me in 1985, Elvis threw a chair with records stacked on top, and it was an accident, and he didn't mean to do it, and he apologized. Okay. In her new book, Softly as I Leave You, she reasserts it being an accident. She pushes back on Coppola's film portrayal of it, stating that that Coppola completely just she got it wrong. He didn't hit me with the chair. It was an accident. She made it look like it was on purpose, like he was angry with me and he threw a chair with records stacked on it. I mean, she downplays this a lot. In Elvis and Me, she admits to Elvis forcefully taking her sexually, forcing himself upon her, takes it back in the 90s like it didn't happen, even though she wrote it in her own book. And then she states in this book that he never laid a hand on her, he never had bad anger towards her, and he's only had nice things to say. Anyway, the Lisa's book was not really direct, but recalls Elvis's temper as scary, but not consistent. He only got angry when there was something to be angry about. The other context that we can go from is Sofia Coppola adapted scene directly from the 1985 memoir. That's what Sofia Coppola did. So which one is it, Prissy Pants? Did he throw a chair at you with records, or didn't he? Because your story changes like the wind, sweetheart. Which is it? Did he throw a chair at you with records? Or didn't he? Because you say totally two different things and then jump back to another thing. It's like this woman does not know how to tell the truth, guys. Have you not figured it out lately? Because I sure have. Now, the next topic is marriage to Michael Jackson. All right. So in the book Elvis and Me, Priscilla didn't write anything about that because the book came out in 1985 and MJ wasn't with Lisa yet. Okay. It was still it didn't even happen. All right. But you get in the new book, Softly as I Leave You, Priscilla says that she calls Jackson manipulative, married a dynasty, opposed to the marriage, and that Michael Jackson only married Lisa to look like a heterosexual male. Right? Well, in Lisa's book, she admits passion, love, defended him publicly, loved him. Even after divorce, they still saw each other. And she claimed he was the love of her life. Right? Now, the other context is Lisa defended Michael Jackson in 1995 and later admitted manipulation. So we're trying to figure out which one is it. Because if MJ was manipulating Lisa, wouldn't you think after all these years, Lisa would have quit seeing him and realized she was manipulated and she would just stop? But she didn't, did she, guys? She wrote a book, and in her book, she stated she still loved him. So, all right. The next topic is selling EPE steak, 2005. In Elvis and Me in 1985, it wasn't applicable. It wasn't in there. It wasn't covered because it didn't happen yet. Okay, but in Priscilla's new book, she says she was devastated Lisa sold 85% of the stake of EPE. Right. In Lisa's book, From Here to the Great Unknown, she recalls pressure of legacy money sold to escape the burden. But we all know behind the scenes, Barry Spiegel and Priscilla was talking her into doing this deal because they had a stake of getting millions of dollars for this sale as well. If I remember correctly, I think Priscilla got almost $13 million out of it all herself. So who manipulated who, Priscilla? Because it seems like you're the one that manipulated your daughter with the help of Barry Siegel for her to sell the 85%. Now, the context would be People magazine reported Priscilla was supportive of the idea. Of course she was. She was supportive because she wanted to have the $13 million. But it's really sick that she claims in her new book, guys, that she was disappointed of learning that Lisa sold 85% of the stake of EPE. This woman lies. She lies like the wind blows, folks. Lies like the wind blows. It's very sad. Nobody can take this woman seriously at this point. The next topic is Lisa's death. Of course, in the book Elvis and Me, it didn't happen yet, so nothing was mentioned about that. But in Priscilla's new book, Softly as I Leave You, she writes as if she made call to end life support, like she had to do it. Yeah, right. She didn't have to do anything. Lisa already had a pacemaker in. The machine was breathing for her. She was fine. She could have stayed that way until Riley got off the plane. She could have been that way for days if they wanted her to be. And Lisa did say that she wanted her life prolonged as long as possible. Her health directive required that. And yet Priscilla didn't listen to Lisa's health directive. Now, in the book From Here to the Great Unknown, the health directive required anonymity, and Priscilla and Michael Lockwood was supposed to be on it, but the main person was Riley. So I don't know how she got to do that. I don't know how Riley didn't take her, get mad at her, show the world that she was mad at her for doing that. I don't know. Like I said, I do not know how the law works in California, but I mean, Riley being the next of kin, you would think they would have waited for Riley to get off the plane to make this life and death decision. Anyways, the context would be the legal filings contradict solo decision claim, which it does. If you go with the legal paperwork we've been going over with you guys, it states Lisa's health directive, and she initialed it 3 times with exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point, that she wants to prolong her life as long as possible. If it can happen, she wanted it done. So we all know that Priscilla did not do what Lisa wanted her to do. Now, last but not least is the topic of the tone of the books, the tone that's being thrown to us. Now, in Elvis and Me, the tone was romanticized, protective, defensive of Elvis. The tone in her new book that just came out, Softly as I Leave You, is defensive. She accuses people, and she has selective retellings of stories that don't add up. Then in Lisa's book, From Here to the Great Unknown, the tone is raw, vulnerable, accuses towards her mother. And then the context would be the public reception of 1985, praise 2025, rebuttal of Lisa's book. And that is basically the tone of Priscilla's new book, folks. The whole tone of Softly as I Leave You is just a rebuttal of Lisa's book, From Here to the Great Unknown. Because if Lisa's going to write bad things about her mother, showing that there was a rift, showing that things were not right, of course this woman is going to write a book telling it how she wants the world to remember her legacy. Let's not do this for her, folks. We're not going to help Priscilla Presley's legacy, okay? If it were up to me, she wouldn't have a legacy, okay? It was Elvis's legacy. She has none. You know what her legacy is, folks? The Queen of Lies. At this point, this is Prissy Pants, Priscilla Presley's legacy, okay? She married Elvis, became a gold digger, slept with as many men as possible to help move her career up in the world, and is the queen of lies. That is the end of my video tonight, folks. I hope you appreciated it. I hope you can put two and two together when we broke down what's in the topic, what's in what, and the three books that we would go over, because this woman is a liar. She's a Prissy Pants, liar, liar, pants on fire, because that's all she knows how to do, guys. This is her legacy. This is her legacy. It's not particularly her book or any of that. Her legacy is the queen of lies, because if you ask her a question, she's going to lie to you. And then if you ask her the same question, a couple years down the road, she's going to lie to you again, but it won't be the same story she told you before. Because unlike some people that are good at lying, this woman is obviously forgetting her lies, and then she's writing up a whole completely different lie. So this woman doesn't even remember her lies, folks. She just lies for no big reason. And she just hopes people don't call her on her ass because of it. But you know we're going to do it, aren't we, guys? We're going to call her out because we know she's a liar. We know she's the queen of lies. That's her legacy. That's it. This is her. You know, she's evil. I tell you, she's evil. So throw her book in the trash. She's evil. And when I get done reading it, I just might throw this book in the trash. You never know. Okay, guys, you could have went to any channel for your breakdown on some of the topics mentioned in this book, but you didn't. You came to mine, and for that, I love each and every one of you for it. Thank you so much. On Wednesday, we're going to go over some more of this book, okay, guys? We're going to go over more of her legacy of lies. Yes. Oh, it's so much fun to call her out on her lies, isn't it, guys? And I hope you guys join me when we do so. So I'll be with you guys on Wednesday. Okay? Well, I'm going to go. TCBTLC. God bless you all. And you know what? I'll see you on the other side, of course, and Wednesday night. Bye, everybody. I'll see y'all later, all right? Make sure you be careful out there. There's some crazies, I'll tell you. So be careful. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye now.